Hey, Pastor Dan here from Dexter Gospel Church. Thanks for watching this Proverbs Practical. Today's proverb notes that safety that matters is not found in the fear of man. We're in Proverbs 29:25, and it says, "The fear of man brings a snare, but whoso puts his trust in the Lord shall be safe." I think we know pretty intuitively what the fear of man is. It's being worried about what other people will think and do and say. It's caring more what they'll think is and what they believe is right and wrong than what God says, being more fearful of what they will do than concerned about what God will do. So many people live so much of their lives thinking about what other people will think, rather than what God has said. And what we fear, we try to appease and please, rather than fearing God and thus letting what He wants and what He says and what He will do govern their decisions. They let the opinions of their neighbors, their family, their friends, their coworkers govern their lives. And so, ironically, they end up wearing things they don't like, saying things they don't mean, going to places they don't want to go, doing things they know are wrong, all because they don't want to face the rejection and condemnation and judgment of people. They're afraid of people. And sometimes there really are consequences. Let's be real about that. There are people who can hurt us. That's less true physically here and now than it has been in many places and for much of history. We aren't likely to be physically attacked very often, have our heads cut off, be burned alive, be beaten by mobs, have our families raped, murdered, and so on. But when Solomon writes this, and for much of the world, for much of history, there were people who might very well do those things if you displeased them. It would seem that there was very good reason to fear man sometimes. Now, we might not face those consequences very often, but there are still subtle effects that are just as real if we displease people. We can still lose friends, lose jobs, have our reputations run down, have family members turn against us, lose a spouse, get chewed out, face financial consequences, and more. If we don't do what other people think we should, if we don't say what they think we should, bad things can happen. And a time may come when we, as Christians, as believers, face jail, prison, assault, and worse. And out of a desire to keep the peace, or not cause trouble, or even just out of a desire to be liked, to be approved of, to be accepted, to be part of the group, we'll often go along with things that we know are wrong or won't stand where we know is right. But God says this is a snare. This is a trap. Cowardice is not a virtue, and it doesn't make life better. You can't ever permanently please people by being insincere anyway. And you can't please God by putting people ahead of Him. People, whether individually or in mass, are always going to be wrong about things sometimes. When we let them be our guide instead of God, we trap ourselves into their transgression. We must have the faith and the courage to fear God, whom we can't see, rather than man whom we can. And that's the last phrase of the proverb. Trusting God might seem more dangerous, since the people seem like they can hurt us. But who has more power truly, them or God? Who has the greater capability to judge or hurt or heal? It's God in every case. He can deliver us from them, but they cannot deliver us from Him. In Him, we can be eternally safe. Living by faith in what He commands is always the safest course for us, for in every way that matters most, no matter what it looks like it will cost, and no matter what it actually does cost in the moment. This doesn't mean that living for God is safe in the sense of there being no danger. For people say that right in the center of the will of God is the safest place you can be. Well, that doesn't mean there's no danger, no risk, nothing bad happening. People living by faith were sawn in pieces and burned alive, and history and legend tell us that only one of the 12 disciples died a natural death, and that was after being burned with boiling oil and put into exile. But bad things happen to bad people too, and doing what is right removes a whole set of dangers from judgment and reaping what we sow. Not only that, but living for the Lord is spiritually safer. It leads to eternal reward rather than eternal loss. And that's likely the idea of the verse. The words, shall be safe, the one who trusts in the Lord shall be safe, can literally be translated, shall be set on high. Height can be a position of safety, like being in a tower when marauders attack or floodwaters rage. It can also be being put up on high, like on top of a medal stand for exaltation and promotion. In the long run, living by faith in the Lord is the safest and best course we can take. Living by the fear of man may look safe, but it's a snare. Living by faith may look dangerous, but it's the only real and eternal safety. I hope this video is a blessing to you. If it is, give it a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more like it. We'd love to hear from you in the comments, and we'd love to see you in person here at Dexter Gospel Church. Until next time, I hope you stay well and trust God instead of fearing man.